Fear is what stops us from doing something.
You'll fail.
Maybe you should stop.
This is the worst food I've ever eaten in my life.
He has a dream and a plan. One of them is total nonsense. He wanted to start. Simply, no big deal. Monday, coffee, go. But there's one problem. Resistance. Not a friend, not an enemy, just a bastard. It always shows up, especially when something is important, or difficult, or just boring. All it takes is to simply start. But suddenly it's absolutely crucial to clean the house, or rewatch season 3 of Breaking Bad. And that's when things get really interesting. There was a plan. All that's left is to start it.
Why don't we act? We say we are waiting for the right moment, for more clarity, for better timing, for more courage, or for a sign. But how long have we been waiting? Days, months, years? We say we want to do it, start the project, build a business, create something we care about, but still we don't move. So the real question is, what's holding us back? What if we are not stuck because of circumstances, but because of something inside us that we haven't looked at yet? When I opened Dots, I didn't have a clear picture of my why. I didn't know exactly what it was going to become, but I knew this. Even if I opened a coffee shop like many others, it would be different, because I'm different. In The War of Art, the author says that professionals leave the why and the what to the gods and focus on the how. That spoke to me, because sometimes it's not clear what exactly you want to do or why. But how you do it, that's where your uniqueness shows up. Still, the fear was there. The doubts were loud. People told me not to do it.
You'll fail.
No one succeeds doing that here.
Everyone gets disappointed when they try to start a business in Thailand.
And I had to ask myself, how do you move forward when fear feels louder than faith? Fear is what stops us from doing something, but I'm not an expert at dealing with fear. I have fears and doubts just like anyone else. What's my secret for handling fear? I don't really have one. It's always different. Maybe the question isn't how to become fearless, but how to act despite the fear. Fear might never fully fade. We just need to get used to doing things with it alongside us. But this video is not about fear or how to deal with it. Fear is just one part of what stops us from doing. For instance, one of those things is lack of success or lack of money. When what you do doesn't bring results fast enough, resistance whispers.
You see, it's not working. Maybe you should stop. It's not yours.
Steven Pressfield calls that resistance, an invisible force that feeds on fear and self-doubt. And Napoleon Hill, he described the same thing in Think and Grow Rich. He said, most people give up right before they're about to succeed, 3 feet from gold. Either way, both agree. You'll be tempted to stop just before it pays off. I've had many tough financial moments in this business. Times when the money didn't add up, when stress sat like a weight on my chest. I could have walked away. I thought about it more than once. But I stayed, I didn't quit, I kept showing up. I know you've had moments like that too. And I'm sure those moments will keep coming. Resistance will keep whispering. Stop it. But what if the same thing is what stops us from doing in the first place? There are plenty of practical tips out there to beat procrastination, like breaking a big task into tiny steps. And it works! You can find it all over the internet. I'll even link a great video about it below. But instead of focusing on tools, I want to look at something deeper. Two different camps: professionals and amateurs. And you can choose which camp you want to be in. And the difference between them might just explain why some people start and some stay stuck. Let me show you what I mean. An amateur waits for inspiration. They tie action to mood. Starting only when they feel ready, stopping when things get hard. They might skip days, avoid feedback, or over-identify with their work so much that failure feels personal. That's why they don't start, or why they stop early. They're not lazy, they are scared that struggle means they are not meant for it. The professional, they show up. Even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when they don't feel like it. Their commitment isn't based on emotion, it's based on habit. They treat it like a job, because it is. They care, but they don't take failure personally. They stick with it, take feedback, and stay in it for the long haul. Not perfect, not fearless, just steady. Turning pro means choosing a mindset built on consistency, resilience, and long-term commitment. It's how we move through resistance and unlock a more meaningful creative life. And the beauty is, you get to choose who you want to become. Let me give you an example from my own life that nearly made me quit. One time at my café, I overheard a guest say something about one of our dishes, oatmeal porridge. She said,
This is the worst food I've ever eaten in my life.
Hearing that, it stung deeply. For a moment, I thought maybe I wasn't good enough to do this. But I didn't close the cafe. I kept going, and that's when I realized this was the difference. Not that everyone loved what I did, but that I kept showing up after the hit. But let me take you back to an event earlier moment, before anything had started. Back when I was still deciding whether to take the leap, I had fears, doubts, confusion. I was starting a business in a foreign country, in a system I didn't fully understand. My budget was tight. I had no guarantee it would work, and yes, of course I was scared. But I remember the one question that finally pushed me to act. How long are you going to keep watching, waiting, and thinking? That question made me angry at myself. I had been holding back for so long that hesitation had turned into frustration. I remember jumping on my motorbike and riding across the island, burning with that frustration, but also with a clear decision. I'm doing this. The very next day, I signed the lease on a space for my idea, and that idea eventually became Dots. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for being a part of this journey. And more importantly, it shows that you are committed to finishing what you've started. So let this be a reminder. Make the decision to move forward your goals, follow your dream, or pursue your personal legend.
Hey legend, it's enough. Grab some beer and come watch Netflix.